Hello everyone, welcome to our Balong Ngay Khai podcast. Today, as a first episode of the podcast, I'd like to invite our first guest and also the co-creator of this podcast, Balong. Hello,
Hello,
how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. So, Balong, to start off, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about conflict and peace. Can you guess the story?
Well, that sounds interesting. Let me guess about the current conflicts between Hamas and Gaza.
Not even quite. I'm gonna talk about the 9/11 attacks at the U.S.
Oh, wow. So, which part of story are you going to talk about?
I'm gonna introduce to you all now. The attacks about the plane start from Washington to L.A. and then what it got hijacked by the Al Qaeda. Then they headed back to the Washington and aimed at the Pentagon. John Gates, who is a worker there. They have just married 16 months ago, but he have to face the most devastating attack of all time. After a huge explosion, everything in was everything was covered in debris and dust. John himself doesn't know anything is happened, and he started to crawl to the airflow underneath him. About a while, he heard a male voice from the other room, who gave him a lot of good advice to help him escape from the building. One of them is to take a one of them is to took a wet blanket to block his mouth from breathe in some dust from the fire. John continued cross through the burning floors with fireballs encircling him. After grouping up with the voice in the other room, he then found out it one of his bosses. Finally, after John escaped, he and his boss got to the Washington National Hospital and healed up there. He then woke up with his family peacefully. That's the end of the story.
Oh, when you hear about it, it's kind of devastating to suffered in a difficult and surprising circumstances. And as you said, this is a incredible event for the US. And let's talk about future. So I believe you once discussed with me about drone bombers and Cold War. So can you talk to us more about that and how dangerous it is in the future?
Sure. We all know that Cold War, a war between large countries without direct war from them. They will sell weapons and army to smaller countries for them to fight. About drone bomber, it's a real threat because we can fight each other and destroy other manufacturer and army army camp army camp without losing any man force by using UAV to bomb them.
What about Cold War? What do you know about them?
Oh, as I've said, Cold War a war between large countries without a direct war between them. They will sell weapons and man-force to smaller countries to fight each other. Now, instead, they will sell such as drone bomber and other automatically weapons to for the smaller country to fight each other.
Oh yeah, you said about atomic weapons. So I want to talk about a more destructive and more dangerous weapon, which is nuclear weapons. So as a clarify, nuclear weapons is also known as a atomic bombs that derive destructive force from the nuclear reactions, and the consequences of it are far more than what we could imagine. There were massive loss of life and destructions in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in the past, leading to more environmental impact and nuclear fallout. And moreover, it's also affect the political and social life in Japan. And could you imagine how terrifying it could pose a threat, how terrifying the nuclear weapons could pose a threat towards our future? Sounds, how do you feel about that?
In fact, I feel that the world in the future may cover in chaos of war and nuclear weapon everywhere. I hope the world will grow in peace, as always.
Yeah, to end this podcast, we have talked about the past, we have talked about the present, and we have talked about the future. So I hope Balong will join us in the next episode. Thank you for listening.
Vỗ tay, vỗ tay!